2 years before President Trump signed it into law. And that kind of policy changes families' lives. It puts more money in their pockets so they can take care of their families. It helps businesses be more successful. It's a recognition that people make better decisions of what to do with their money than the government ever would.
That's right. And we all remember what happened through the 1980s thanks to that bill.
That's right.
And the tremendous growth of this country.
Call or go online today for your free copy.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go.
HapBee makes the first wearable device that lets you choose your mood. And with me is the CEO, Jonas Stern, to explain how this, first of all, let's just see it, okay? So I'll hold it up, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in depth, but let's talk about the wellness market in general. How big is the wellness market?
The wellness market is it's immense. It's almost $5 trillion, and it breaks down into a bunch of different categories. Wearables alone are almost $100 billion.
And they're becoming more popular. People are getting used to wearables.
You know, the thing about wearables, which is we find so compelling, is the vast majority, 95% of wearables on the market, are basically monitors, right? So you think about Whoop, and you think about Fitbit or Garmin or the Apple Watch. They're basically monitors that are giving you back feedback, biofeedback about how your body's doing, how many REM cycles you do, or what your heart rate is. They're precious few that actually do something for you. So this is just, most of the wearables are reading things. We're the other side of the coin where we actually help you optimize your wellness.
Okay, so you have to tell me, how does this work? So I tried it, and we'll talk about that in a second. I put it around my neck, and wore for the hour that you're supposed to wear it. So how does it work?
So basically, and I'm not a scientist, but what I can explain to you basically is every compound that we ingest, think coffee, think nicotine, think CBD, every one of those compounds is made up of molecules. Every one of those molecules has a unique digital signature. That's what the scientists figured out. If you will, they sing a little song. And the song that they sing is received or heard by the bioreceptors in your cells. And I know that sounds really weird, but if I would have told you 5 years ago that you could charge a phone without plugging it in, would you have believed me? Or that you could broadcast a signal without wires? Your body works on signals exactly the same way. And when these compounds are present and they sing their little song to your brain or to cells in your body, they know it's present.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to tell you my story. So I had a long list of things to do on Sunday. I had to write a speech, I had to do a proposal, I had to get my work done for Monday. There was like 4 kind of big things I had to do. Very unmotivated. I was like, I'm just going to try this. I put it on. I did the email mastery because I knew we were doing the interview. And I got done with everything early. Okay, so I don't know if this is a psychological thing or what, but I want to give it a few more tries. But
The number one use, so you just nailed the number two use for the product, which is focus.
Okay.
Focus and attention. If you think about the things that you would otherwise need to do to gain focus or attention, drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, take a pill of some sort, all of those things are attached with all kinds of negative side effects. You don't want to be doing that to your body. You can just simply play the blend that gives you the same effect without any side effects. And that's the beauty of the product. The number one use of the product is sleep.
Sleep, okay.
60%,
well, I could use that too.
yeah, 60% of Americans can't sleep at night. They either can't fall asleep or they can't stay asleep. That was my problem. And the reason I got involved with the product and with the company is I tried it. And I slept like a baby.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to try that one too, because there was creativity in the email mastery that I did, and the sleep and like meditation, and there were quite a few different applications on there. How do you monetize this technology?
Well, it's kind of like a two-step. We sell the device. So the device basically is a delivery mechanism for the blends. That's the content. And then we charge a subscription fee. If you want access, right now we've got 25 blends. Like you said, they're all lifestyle blends, relax, do work, be focused. And if you want access to all of them, there's a subscription. But 2 blends come bundled with the device.
And what is your sales strategy?
A variety of different distribution. We have a big direct-to-consumer strategy. To date, all of our growth, and again, extremely compelling for me coming in as the CEO, has been word of mouth. People who use the product come back to us and they tell their friends that it has effectively changed their lives. They're more focused. They're able to control their sleep patterns. We work with professional athletes, with entertainers, with people in business. They're our best salespeople. But as we look to scale the business, a comprehensive direct-to-consumer strategy, a strategy where we're going to be having the product fulfilled through third-party retail. And a lot of people are now starting to create blends of their own. Think Spotify for moods. They're starting to create blends on our platform, and they're bringing their followers to the platform.
Oh, interesting. Well, I did tell some people about it, and I promised I would try it a couple more times before I, just make sure it wasn't some kind of weird thing. But I tell you, I mean, it really did. I was done earlier than I ever have been with all that work I had to do. What about your gross margins on sales?
Gross margins are strong, about 70% on the product itself, which gives us lots of latitude to participate with third parties where we can share some of the revenue. And then, of course, the SaaS or subscription, that's a nice high margin business. So those two things together really are the undercurrents of a business model that can scale quite profitably.
Okay. And your long-term strategy?
In the short term, it's all about devices and content.
Okay.
In the long term, it's about building this capability into other products. Think car. You're driving down the highway at night and you're falling asleep. It's usually a little bit of AC/DC and a big gulp to stay awake.
Roll down the window, yeah.
But what if it's built into the seat back of your car? Your seat back of your car can do temperature, can do massage. Why can't it give you caffeine? Well, the answer is it could. So we really see building HapBee and HapBee technology into other people's user experiences and other people's products.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you so much for coming in. I'll keep you up to date on my other experiences with it.
Appreciate it.
Jonah.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Secure. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Tonix Pharmaceuticals is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company, and it announced that it has expanded its research collaboration with Columbia University. This collaboration is focused on studying the immune responses to COVID-19 in healthy volunteers who have recovered from COVID or were asymptomatic. So with me is Seth Letterman, the CEO of Tonix Pharmaceuticals. Great to see you in person. So,
I'm glad to be back in person.
yes,
Thank
great.
you, Jane.
So you recently announced that you've received FDA guidance regarding the COVID-19 vaccine and development, TNX 1800. I feel like I've talked to you so many times. I feel like I've kind of lived this with you. This creates a clear path for you to move forward with it. Kind of explain what this means.
Sure. Thank you, Jane. The Operation Warp Speed vaccines were very successful, but now they're showing their limitations. The biggest limitation is durability and the need for boosters every 6 to 8 months. That really can't go on forever. The second limitation is their ability to protect against forward transmission, meaning the ability of one person to infect another. They don't seem to be blocking forward transmission. And then there's the expense, the cold chain, the rest of it. So we think our vaccine is a very important alternative. Ours is a live virus vaccine. We're really one of the few companies still working on a live virus vaccine. Merck was working on 2 live virus vaccines, but they abruptly discontinued both of their programs. So we think that ours has the promise to provide more durable protection and to block forward transmission and to do it more economically in a way where truly the world could be vaccinated.
Interesting, because I have to give you credit. Early on, you were talking about how these vaccines may need supplements, you may need some things, and so you were really, because we've seen breakthrough cases and things like that. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish it because they've been very important to us getting through this, but so that's interesting. So you talked about the live virus vaccine. How else does it differ from the vaccines, the mRNA that we're seeing?
Well, Operation Warp Speed, just look at the name, speed, and it was great. I mean, you and I are sitting here because we're vaccinated. So I think it was the most successful public-private partnership in modern history. But a live virus vaccine takes longer to develop, and a live virus vaccine stimulates T-cell immunity. There are really 2 kinds of immunity, T-cells and antibodies. Antibodies are short-lived, and that's why there's this requirement to boost the mRNA vaccines and the adeno vaccines from Johnson & Johnson. But our live virus vaccine, we expect, will provide more durable immunity. Live virus vaccines are the most successful in history. Smallpox, measles, mumps, rubella, Sabin polio, chickenpox. So these are really vaccines that provide durable immunity and block forward transmission. And those are what we really need to start living in, with the virus.
Normal.
Yeah.
What is a timetable for that?
Now that we have a green light from the FDA, or at least a checklist of things that they need, we expect to be in the clinic in the first half of 2022. So a live virus vaccine takes longer to develop the manufacturing processes in the beginning, but once it's done, we expect to be able to go to scale very quickly, which is one of the reasons that we're in development of 2 facilities relating to vaccine production and
That's right. We talked
development.
about that last time. Where are those 2? I forget.
Well, we have our pilot manufacturing facility is being built in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and our commercial stage manufacturing facility is still a greenfield. It's located in Hamilton, Montana. Obviously, New Bedford is in the biotech, miracle of Boston. And Hamilton, Montana is the home of the Rocky Mountain National Laboratory, a leading vaccine research organization, and also a big pharma vaccine manufacturing facility. So it's a small town, but a very important town in terms of vaccine.
And in the western U.S., so that might help with distribution to that part of the country.
Yes, and also there's an important push by the president and others to have domestic U.S. manufacturing to deal with this pandemic and future pandemics. And geographical diversity is very important. So having something in Hamilton, which is far from the other biotech centers, we think will be very important in our national Build Back Better strategy.
Yeah, and I'm sure they love the jobs there too. So now on to treatment. So you're also working on a COVID antivirals. Tell me about that.
COVID is a difficult problem. It's a many-headed monster. So vaccines are in the prevention end of it, and we are working on a therapeutic. This is for acute COVID, people who get sick after they get infected. The only approved drug is remdesivir from Gilead, and our drug has been compared head-to-head with remdesivir in tissue culture, and ours is 65 times more potent than remdesivir, but more importantly, they seem to work together. So both of them together work at lower doses than either alone, and they attack the virus at different stages. So we think that a combination treatment might be very important down the line.
Interesting. So is it intravenous, right? Because remdesivir is,
Yeah, it is also intravenous. There's a lot of talk about oral antivirals, and someday we think that ours will be oral. I'm sure Gilead is working on oral versions of remdesivir, but the important thing is to get something that works intravenously and then use medicinal chemistry to advance it to the stage where it can be delivered orally. That's the normal progression of drug delivery. But what we need now is we need things that work.
Yeah.
So while intravenous may be a little bit of a impediment long-term, short-term, what we really need is drugs that work.
And that's where you have to start the process.
Exactly.
So, okay, so let's talk about this Columbia University collaboration. You're working on identifying biomarkers for protective immunity against COVID. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, from the beginning, as you said, thank you for remembering our long conversations about this topic, but I was a professor at Columbia Medical School for about 20 years, and I worked in the area of immunology. And from the beginning, I have said, and our company's position has been, that T-cell immunity is important in fighting viruses. So T cells and the antibody immune systems speak to each other, and my work at Columbia was very important in that. It's called the CD40 ligand, how the T cell and antibody speak to each other. But the most important thing is to figure out how T cell immunity can protect us. Because in the end of the day, what's going to protect us, I hope, from COVID is T cell immunity. So we're characterizing that with scientists at Columbia University and how it interacts with the antibody immunity. T cell immunity is longer lasting. It can last decades, even lifelong immunity. And the other thing is that T-cell immunity is known to block forward transmission, an important limitation of the existing vaccines. Another advantage of T-cell immunity is that it's harder for the virus to evade it by mutations. A lot of the mutations you're seeing now, for example, in the Delta variant that has all of us so concerned, appear to be mutations that have evolved to evade antibody responses, whereas it's much harder for a virus to evade T-cell responses.
Okay. Well, best of luck, and please keep us posted on all this, Seth. It's all fascinating. So
thank you for having me back, Jane.
FirstWave Biopharma is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company specializing in the development of targeted non-systemic therapies for gastrointestinal diseases. And with me is CEO James Sepperstein. So great to see you again.
Nice to be here.
So
Thank
first, you've had a name change with the company.
We have.
So explain what was behind that decision.
Well, the old name was AzarRx. I think it confused some folks. It's a legacy of a company that had not been performing fairly well. So as we acquired the new assets and the new company, we decided to make it nice and simple. FirstWave Bio.
Okay. All right. And that's what we will be. And what's your ticker symbol then?
FWBI.
Okay. Great. And you have some new data today?
We do. Part of the acquisition was acquiring ulcerative proctitis. So we acquired their phase 2 study, and we released some data this morning, which is really exciting. And it's really the whole basis as to why we went off and acquired the whole company. This data set that absolutely proves that the drug works well in all aspects of colitis.
Okay. And then what are your priorities for the company in the next few years?
Great question, because we had our old product, Adrulipase, MS-1819, as people knew it, for cystic fibrosis. Right now, we're trying to fix the manufacturing, so we'll have that done hopefully by the end of the year, early first part of the next year. So that's one priority. The second priority, we're in the middle of a COVID trial with niclosamide. We're seeing nice results, and for good or for bad, the Delta variant has kind of helped us a little bit. We take all comers, patients that have been vaccinated or non-vaccinated. We still need to recruit quite a few patients, so that hopefully will read out by the end of the year. And we have another trial that's supposed to be starting, which is checkpoint inhibitor colitis. The IND has been filed. We just received feedback from the FDA. Hopefully we can launch that at the end of the year. And obviously this proctitis study I just mentioned. So we have really 4 active phase 2 programs. So our market cap does not reflect at all, what's happening.
In the works, I guess. So the COVID, is that a treatment or a vaccine or what's?
It's a treatment. So it's an oral medication. In fact, you heard just yesterday there was a report on CNN indicating that we're not going to vaccinate our way out of this. And you and I have had that conversation before. You need oral medications because that people will trust taking an oral medication, even if you take it for a month or two. And to eradicate the virus, you'll take it.
Yeah, well, much easier than something intravenous, too. So, okay, so Adrulipase, am I saying it right?
Yes,
I'm close,
right.
am I close? Okay. Also known as MS-1819. So that was your flagship product. What happens with that, with the new name, the new company?
Well, we know the drug works. That's the good news. The bad news is that in the last testings that we had, our monotherapy trial and our combination trial, some patients, the drug literally went right through them and didn't really work. And then some of them, it got absorbed and it worked well. So we have to figure out how to put the brakes on and keep the drug within the intestinal area so that it works against all patients. So we're doing manufacturing work right now.
Okay. And then, so of all these different trials you have going on, which one are you most excited about?
Well, interesting. I'm really excited about the COVID trial because I think it can change the world. And I think if it works and we get great results, we're testing in the Ukraine and India and the United States. I'm not sure that we'll be first to market. We're going to try. But if we are first to market, it'll change everything for the company as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, James, for coming in and updating us.
Thank you for having me.
Need hearing aids? Tired of paying $5,000 or more? Tired of making multiple trips to have your hearing aids adjusted? Now you don't have to. Our HearIQ 4 medical grade hearing aids are fully rechargeable, Bluetooth compatible, and start at under $1,000 for a complete set or monthly payments of $44. Our hearing aids are self-adjusting using any smartphone and features remote programming by hearing care professionals without you ever leaving home. Order your pair today at myheariq.com.
GlobeX data continues to make waves in the cybersecurity industry with its product Secure. And with me is CEO Alon Gahi to update me on the company. So Alon, it's a pleasure to talk to you again. What's the latest with Secure and GlobeX?
Thank you, Jane. Happy to be here. So we just launched, as you know, in the US late summer, our Secure application, which is a messaging and an email app, and we have a combo. One of the things that we're planning to do is to launch our own email application, because we did notice that when you have, most of the people don't know, TLS and SSL and how to set up IMAP email on device. Essentially, we have our Secure Send email, which is an amazing tool. You can send an email to an outsider, they get it, they can reply back using Secure Reply without having Secure, and this whole transaction happens in our Swiss server, which eliminates business email compromise and what we call phishing attack and man in the middle. However, for the average person that may not know how to set up an email, it's a bit cumbersome. So we collected a lot of data from our daily subscribers, which we get a ton of them daily now. Happy to say that. And we decided to create our own email application coming up probably early Q1 that will have all those amazing features like Secure Send, Secure Reply. So it will be as ubiquitous as you downloading, let's say, a Gmail, except that instead of your data being mined every day and hacked every day, you'll have the secure mail application. We're looking at about $7 a month, which is in line or way cheaper than a lot of our so-called competitors. And we're pretty excited because we're seeing the demand for that. So the email application is a huge thing. We're planning to do that in Q1. We also purchased about $1 million of equipment in order to increase our capacity, our processing power by a factor of 10. We'll be installing those in our Swiss data centers in January, February as well. So we're very excited. We're building the ground base now, the foundation for the huge push next year.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned $7 a month, but I think you and I have talked about the average hack cost somebody $30,000. So,
of course, so
more of these attacks. So it's likely we're all going to be a victim of this at some point.
Well, email, you may have, I mean, we were discussing before, there was an article about now you can buy phishing kits, phishing. I'm not talking about salmon phishing, obviously, phishing email. And phishing is basically a way to trick a person to open an email, simply put. And they do it many ways. Now, there's deep phishing, there's regular phishing, and now they sell literally kits to do that. So, you know, your 8-year-old, instead of playing, you know, with Hasbro blocks, now they can basically learn how to hack someone, I would imagine. It's that easy with those kits. And the reason is because 99.9% of all emails are using either big tech platforms, which are vulnerable, and open source. 99.98% of software use open source coding, and it leaves everything vulnerable and therefore your email. And that's how they get into your identity, and they hack everything, and they get your credit card, your social security number, your address, your phone number, I mean, everything. So having this secure send email available to everyone without having to configure anything is an amazing thing. And businesses actually cost them up to $3.5 million every time they have a hack, according to an IBM study. For individuals, it's 30 grand all the way to, I mean, it could be somebody can empty your bank account, right? Your IRA, your savings, everything. It does happen. And so consumers are going to like it. Businesses are going to go crazy for it because we're also launching business email starting next month in October. So if you have a business address, you can migrate from your existing provider and have an email with your business email address with us starting about mid to late October.
Yeah. Well, that just shows how ubiquitous this is, that there's a kit out there that
it's scary.
How it's even going to be even more. I mean, I get numerous emails every day that I know are phishing emails, like warning me about, you know, a bank account that I don't have and things like that. So, and I think they're just taking the chance that maybe I do bank at Wells Fargo, which I don't, but you know, it's just everywhere.
You know, it's all about probability. And not only do they take a chance, they can buy that data and they know if you're at Wells Fargo or any other bank. So if somebody wants to target the customers of JP Morgan, they know the clients that are at JP Morgan. That's how scary it is. Now with data, it's just our lives are open. So we have to protect ourselves the best we can. One of the ways is to have an email like us, which would be no open source, no big tech, data stored only in Switzerland, and using only that secure send, secure reply. That's the only thing that guarantees you that nobody can come in and impersonate you. And we do the same with our secure messenger, which we'll talk at length later on as we're doing some more improvements with that. It's the same concept. You basically message someone that only has that tunnel with us, as opposed to a WhatsApp or something where you give your phone number away and you get people impersonating others on your phone.
Right. And we've talked before about with the secure email, I can email somebody outside of the secure system. So you can still do that. Everybody doesn't have to be in the same ecosystem, right?
Absolutely. That's our secure send technology, which is proprietary. So if you need to email your stockbroker or your doctor or your lawyer about something private, right now, whenever you send an email, that email is like an open postcard. It's very dangerous. And 94% of all hacks start with email, whether it's big banks or little, just regular people. So with that feature, you can send an email to anybody in the world They click on a link. You can also password protect the link. You can time expire the link. You can decide how many times they can read it so they won't forward it to someone. And then they can reply using secure reply. And you can also put as many attachments as you want. So it's got multiple advantages. For businesses, it's a bit of a no-brainer, but we see a lot of individuals that are looking for that kind of security and privacy as well.
I could definitely see that. Thank you, and look forward to our next interview.
Thank you.
Need hearing aids? Tired of paying $5,000 or more? Tired of making multiple trips to have your hearing aids adjusted? Now you don't have to. Our Hear IQ 4 medical grade hearing aids are fully rechargeable, Bluetooth compatible, and start at under $1,000 for a complete set or monthly payments of $44. Our hearing aids are self-adjusting using any smartphone and features remote programming by hearing care professionals without you ever leaving home. Order your pair today at myheariq.com.
StrikeForce is a cybersecurity company with products that have unique security features. And with me is Mark Kay, the CEO of StrikeForce, and also George Weller, the Executive Vice President. So, Mark, let's start with you. Your stock has been active lately. I saw it took a nice little jump. I mean, what do you attribute that to?
Well, the stock's been very active mainly because of a major interview we did a week ago when we announced our new website, which looks fantastic, and it's out there now, and we'll be saying more about it. And also, you know, in terms of the Reg A, we said at that point that we should be closing it soon. Well, we should be closing it today.
Okay.
And if we don't close it today, we should be closing it tomorrow. But it's done. We're taking one more investment for the Reg A, and that's it. And then we're shutting it down, and we're not looking for any more investments from anybody, and that's a great thing for us.
Tell me about that Reg A investment. I mean, elaborate on that. If you could tell me how much it is, what do you plan to use it for?
Yeah, I can't say exactly how much it is right now because it isn't done yet.
Okay.
It'll be done today, but it's definitely a right amount of money that keeps us afloat for over a year or 2 years down the road. And therefore, we don't need any more investments. It keeps us alive. It allows us to pay for the marketing we're doing.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of great marketing that George will talk to you about, and it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
But it pays for the marketing, the analysts we have, the time we have, and it pays for the people. You know, we're not a large company. We don't want to be a large company. We have 10 employees right now, but we think we'll be doing very well, and the money will cover us extremely well. And the good news is that the Reg A will be shut down, and there's no new form of investment being done.
Okay, so George, let's bring you in. So he talked about the marketing and the website. Do you want to?
Yeah,
website?
I'm really proud of this. We spent the last couple of months building a website that becomes not only a website about our products, but it's a resource center for all the industries that we cater to, which is the financial industry, the legal industry, education, manufacturing, you know, all of the government. So it basically becomes a resource center where they could go there, they could understand about the impact of cybersecurity events against them, the attack vectors, and then they also get to see the solutions and sign up to try any of our solutions that they'd like. With just going and clicking a button, one of our folks will reach out to them and we'll immediately talk to them about a specific situation that they're encountering and talk about the technologies that they need to protect themselves.
Yeah, and I introduced as saying you have unique products with features. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? What are some of the products you have that people can't find with other cybersecurity companies?
That's probably the best question. Yeah. So StrikeForce, you know, we have 5 different cybersecurity products. Each of our products, they're either patented or they use our patented technologies. And what really sets us apart from all the other cybersecurity companies is we're the inventors of keystroke encryption. We have that embedded into all of our technologies. This way, no matter what you're doing, if you have malware on your computer, they're not going to steal your keystrokes as you're typing. Our authentication system, we're also the inventor and patent holder of what we call out-of-band authentication, which utilizes 2 channels for authenticating. Most people know it as multi-factor authentication, right? Yes, it's multi-factor, but instead of sending all your data on one channel from the person to the server, our system separates that and sends it on 2 channels, and we don't give the hackers an opportunity to get to that second channel. And if they can't get to that channel, they can't log in as you. So that's key. And then the last component is our Safety Chat, and that's our secure video conferencing platform. And it's the only platform that we know of in existence that's built on 5 levels of cybersecurity. And inside, we authenticate every user all the time, so there's no more of these people barging in on your conferences and doing lewd things, saying inappropriate things. But more than that, the end user that's on the meeting creators that's on the video conferencing, we lock down their camera, their microphone, their speakers when people are talking. All companies using enterprises, SMBs that use video conferencing today, they have to now be aware of the data that's going back and forth across video conferencing, and we lock that data down. And like you said, unique, we're the only cybersecurity company in the world that built a video conferencing platform, and we have the only video conferencing platform that was built by a cybersecurity company. Okay. So that's what gives us that uniqueness that no other system out there, all the big names that people know, none of them protect the data at the desktop like we do. So that's what.
If you're having a meeting and you're discussing important financial or trade secrets or something like that, you need to have that protected.
Yeah,
and we're
absolutely.
going to be doing more
you would
of that,
think,
I feel like,
right?
in the future. I mean.
Oh yeah, the industry is.
You would think.
Oh, absolutely. The industry is slated to grow. Right before the pandemic, video conferencing was at about a $2.5 billion industry, and expected to grow to about $5-6 billion by 2025. Since COVID came out, and now the new hybrid model is out there for remote workers, you know what they already repented on that?
$100 billion.
Yeah, it's upwards of that. And they said,
I'm not surprised.
And they said that by the end of this decade, that 50% of the world's employees will be using video conferencing on a daily basis.
Yeah, I believe it. So you potentially have a lot of growth ahead, then, Mark.
We have a lot of growth and a lot of great products that are going to start getting out there. I think, doing interviews like this, Jane, that we get the world to see what Strikeforce is all about, and having a video conferencing tool that's so secure as ours, which is the only one that's that secure. We got to get out there. We got to be growing. We got to be seen by everybody, and everybody should be using it. There's nothing different. And we have other products that we use in the video conferencing product, which makes us so different. We built those products over the past 10 years, and no one else has done anything like that at this point. So, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mark and George.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jane.
Kylin is a company that's focusing on empowering people by owning and maybe even making money off their own data. So with me is the Chief Stratosphere Officer of Kylin, Dylan Dudney. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Great to see you too.
So much. So let's do an overview now that we're here of what Kylin is all about.
Yeah, so Kylin is essentially, it's like a data blockchain. And what we're trying to do is give anyone the ability, whether that's companies or whether that's individuals, to be empowered over the coordination, operationalization, and monetization of their own data. Okay, so what that means, just breaking it down to like a use case, is for example, and I think I've talked about this with you before. We've done it on Zoom in the past, and I'm really happy. By the way, I'm really happy to be here. It's really cool. I'm glad COVID has died down a little bit, and we're able to be in person. But one of the examples that I talk about a lot, which is a really exciting use case of this D-data world that Kylin imagines, is tokenizing your genome. And what that means is basically you could upload your genome, researchers could access it for a fee, And that could be a business model that is a decentralized business model, and it already exists right now. So companies like 23andMe are selling on the back end your genomic information to researchers for quite a lot of money. So I really love this idea, this use case, because what it does is it equalizes people's value on a global scale. So whether I'm in Botswana or whether I'm here in New York or Toronto or Beijing, my genomic data has like a base level of value that I could share. So I really think that, and what Kylin does is essentially it sits as an infrastructure for that data to be shared between entities in a decentralized way, a trustless way. And that's what we're up to with Kylin.
Okay. So, and you and I have talked about like our data is so out there and so many companies are making money off of it. It does only seem fair that we should have a piece of that. And that's really what you're trying to make happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be quick. So there's this saying like, it happens, it gradually and then all at once. Yeah. That was true for DeFi, right? Where, it was 2 or 3 years, people were even saying like, where's DeFi? What's happening with DeFi? And then we had the DeFi summer. It happened all at once. I really do believe in it. 2 or 3 years, this infrastructure is being laid down right now by companies like us and others to some extent, but I think we're one of the better ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm the most biased person you're going to talk to, by the way, about Kylin. But I think that it's definitely going to be put back into the hands of individuals, this relationship with their data. And once those first stories start coming out about people having these personal capitalizations by using these systems, right, and these networks like Kylin Network, the pressure on decentralizing data silos or or having your data being something that you're not going to share and you're not going to give it out and you're going to hook up with a decentralized data sharing network like Kylin. I think that pressure is going to be enormous, right? Because you're going to be, it's like as if people were giving out free hot dogs, yeah. and then you have your hot dogs and you're like, I'm not going to give out. This is worth something. Why would I just give it to everybody for free? Right. It's like, and that's the bargain that we've made in the internet we have had up till now because it's a half-formed internet. There's no value transfer layer. Blockchain allows a value transfer layer to be operational.
Well, and I think it's also confusing that I think once somebody sees their friends making money off their data, they're going to be like, hey, teach me how to do that. And then you're right. I think like the floodgates are going to open at that point. So the regulatory environment is pretty interesting right now in this space. So I saw Gary Gensler talking about, crypto and not sure about, how do you read where we're at right now in the regulatory environment?
We're, I think, at a bit of a Rubicon moment in the sense that I think we're at the point where, so there's two sides of it. There's the really pro crypto side of it from maybe states like El Salvador, mm-hmm. Where you've got the president or forgive my ignorance.
Right?
President, I think so, president. Yeah. You've got him, pushing that through. And aside from any of, his maybe other political failings, he is very bullish on crypto. And then you have, other states where the regulation seems to be coming down much harder, or it's less distinct. And I think that is typically the countries that are a little bit more looking askance at crypto, or they're more apt to regulate it. It's typically because they're at the top of the heap when it comes to, the value of their dollar or their, I think that it's going to have to happen that the world we live in is uncoupled from state level, eventually from state level issuance of currencies. That may be a provocative view for some viewers. In my world, it's not so provocative.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are saying that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that what is needed is official guidance, because I think so many companies, we're in a really legitimate phase, if you will, for crypto. Like, it's becoming very massified, mm-hmm. and we're starting to go beyond the financial use cases to some, like what we're doing. Yeah. But the financial use case is obviously very important for governments to consider. The laws that were put in place at the end of almost a century ago were put in place for a reason, to protect people because greed is very powerful, and you want to protect people from being taken advantage of, from investing in illegitimate projects. And I think that that's an important function that states serve, and governments serve, and regulation serves. But you have to do it in a very clear way that doesn't like pigeonhole or have any bias. And I think that to some extent, the regulatory framework doesn't really hasn't caught up with the level of innovation that's represented.
Dylan, thank you so much.
A pleasure. Yeah, always a pleasure. Yeah.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Wee Pad Inventor Company. Hello, with me today is Peter Coley from Gansel Energy Group. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining us and giving us some more information about Gansel Energy. Of course, OTC, market symbol GEGR. And Peter, I know you've recently joined the company as a chief financial officer and director. So give us your background and what brought you to Gansel Energy.
The background is I've been working in Europe the last 25 years within Switzerland and Italy. I have a master's degree here in Italy, and mainly in project funding, compliance, large-term project funding, things like that, and working a lot in the finance. And since 2017, was collaborating with a hybrid law studio here in Rome that was already consulting to Gansel.
Sounds like you've had a very interesting career so far. So, and I've seen a lot of press releases lately from Gansel on new corporate investments. So there was one I wanted to ask you about, Monfer SRL. So can you give us some background on that company and how does it fit into the Gansel ecosystem?
Okay, so Monfer is a company essentially set up inside of a shipbuilding yard in a company called Fincantieri, which is one of the largest companies in Italy, and it's probably one of the 2-3 most important shipbuilding companies in the world. They're really heavily involved in the manufacture of cruise ships, also very large ocean-going vessels. And we got excited about the company. They have an amazing, let's say, portfolio of bookings and billings that go into several years. So they're solid on the commercial side. It's a classic thing with companies like that. They're in a period where they can really start to grow, but they've got cash flow problems. And so we've just been coming in on the backside a lot through also the new CEO, just trying to look and see what we can do to help a lot of these companies improve their cash flow status. So we're not really looking at this in terms of financing something that's going bad. Okay, we look at the company as we want to come in and we want to make it better. Something that's already there. So it's kind of a different way to look. We're trying to think out of the box, I guess you could say right now. And by doing that, we're applying a lot of funds that the chairman's bringing in and some of the other shareholders, the PPM programs, and we're trying to work in a way where we distribute, let's say, what liquidity we have in terms of investment into a broad portfolio of firms that don't need to be actually saved. They just need extra oxygen or extra fuel to move forward with their plans. And that's generally a big problem in a lot of small, medium companies, is the cash flow situation. They're looking at bookings and billings and stuff like that. We're trying to analyze these things and just set them on track and get as little involved in the actual management of the company itself. I'd say we're more observers to what's happening than the actual management. So if the management looks good, we come in, we leave the management in place, and we just try to keep them on track, try to keep the machine as well running and oiled as we can. That's the purpose.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peter.
everyone, I'm Anna Berry, and this is New to the Street, your weekly hack, the secure segment with Elaine Guy, GlobeX Data, the leader in Swiss-hosted private and secure communications and data management. Okay, Elaine, you just said it. The secret sauce is no longer secret, especially when it comes to big tech like Microsoft. Millions of people use Microsoft, but why is it so vulnerable? Welcome back.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for having me. Yes, the secret sauce, the secret formula has been stolen through several hacks earlier this year. Some of our viewers may have read about the solar wind attack and solar wind hacks. And essentially that created the fact that the source code of Microsoft, a lot of Office, file share, etc., a lot of the source code was stolen. So what happens, this whole problem, which is true to all big tech companies, which everybody hosts their data on, and also all open source coding, which probably powers 99.9% of most software in the world. What happens at the very beginning, it was great to have open source because you're going to have a group of developers, a community, develop a software, and you have this kind of like communal type of help. Now the problem is too many people know how to develop. And at the same time, if so many people know the secret formula for Coca-Cola, well, they can recreate another Coca-Cola or even spike the Coca-Cola that you're drinking, which is kind of what they're doing with the email hacks, etc. So this latest event that just happened now is there was an organization that got busted basically for selling literally a platform for phishing. It's called FAST, phishing as a service. You know, we have in software as a service or platform as a service. Now it's kind of scary, pathetic, and comical. I don't know which word to use, that now you have phishing platform as a service. So you can have like some teenager getting that platform, probably pay a monthly service to hack and phish all your emails. So what is email phishing? Just to recap for some of our viewers, email phishing, simply put, is a way that to hook someone, that's why it's called phishing, into opening an email misrepresenting the IDs. For example, I might get an email from Norton, which like the one you got, I got some of those you were showing me. And I'm thinking, hey, did I buy Norton or not? We don't even remember. Maybe I did, and it was a long time ago. I'm just going to click. And then when you click on a link, it opens a bug and it takes over your device. Or you could have somebody acting as a friend or business partner, or you get an email, you know, this is the invoice of so-and-so. That's a very popular one. Where you do get an invoice for something. Corporations are run with thousands of people. They'll just assume this is a legitimate invoice that department X probably started, and now, you know, the finance department has to pay. This is a huge problem with businesses because there's no clear communication in large organizations. And also with consumers, the same thing happened too. You could have something from your bank. You know, we noticed your credit card has been compromised. Please click here to verify it's really you. I mean, I'm simplifying, but I have seen people live like being phished or on the text too. So what's happening is right now, the big problem is we all, well, I don't, but, you know, because we have secure, but we all use one of the top 2-3 email services in the world. Obviously, Microsoft is an amazing company, but they don't make money with your $15-20 a month. Their business is data from the time you're a kid with the Xbox, all the way to software that we use, all the way to LinkedIn. I've had people overseas, a huge telecom company that we're partnering with in Sri Lanka, and they're selling Microsoft product, but they were showing me how in their own email, they get this email that says, you haven't used LinkedIn today, or, you know, we noticed this email was looking at that, or you're looking at that. Literally, you're getting push notification on your entire life and data, and this is like Big Brother times 20. So what happens is the big tech develop some really amazing products. The problem now is that they own all our data. That data is sold to third and fourth parties, not secured. And that's how slowly people get your information. From your email, you can get in and get everything. email is 94% of all the hacks and all the bank theft. Everything starts with email. This is why we developed Secure Mail, which doesn't use big tech platform, because we have our own, and also proprietary technology, because now with open source, everybody can basically undo the secret formula. The secret sauce is no longer secret. It's mass produced, and everybody can make it and make it look like it's a great sauce when you're going to open that email, and then you get obviously phished and hacked.
Right. And what's scary, Elaine, is I personally know many state agencies which use this open source Microsoft 365 platform. And this is very vulnerable information, right? So how can we protect ourselves? Maybe for our work, we do have to use a big tech company like that. How can we protect ourselves on a more personal level?
So on a personal level, and even some businesses, I would argue, like we can't do without Excel, Word, and PowerPoint and things like that. But what we do in our business is all our email, at least, and messages are using Secure. So next month, I'm glad you brought that up, because not only government organization, but all the businesses, you have billions of people using Microsoft or G Suite. You know, we can't forget about Google, which mines your data and makes 98% of their money from advertising. So basically what we do is we are launching a business email domain mid-late October, which means that if you're a business and you want to protect at least your emails, and you still want to use the convenience of the Microsoft suite, you can migrate your email directly to us. So it'll be at anacompany.com, and then you use Secure. Now, why would you go to us? First of all, we have the privacy of Switzerland, right? We don't use big tech platforms. We have our own. So you know that data is not going to be all over the world. We never data mine you. And we do charge you the $10 a month for the email and the messaging and all that. And in fact, we're launching our own email application in Q1. That will be as easy as just downloading an app. Just like when you download your Gmail application and you don't have to think about it, it works. We're going to do the same thing with Secure Mail, and you'll have the Secure Send, Secure Reply. So our email functions differently in a way that you're able to send an email to a non-secure user. So if you're a business person or a consumer and you send an email outside, that email typically becomes an open postcard in all of the cases. That's how you can get phishing and all of that. And they can also read all the content of the email, and they can scan the documents in it. With us, you use Secure Send, which is a way to send an email to a recipient. They click on a link, and you can also protect the link with a password, how many times they can read the email, and even a self-destruct timer. So if you really want to go all the way, if not, you just say, hey, click on this link, Anna. You click, you're able to see my email. And when you reply, which is usually the Achilles heel, the weak point is to send, there may be security, but then you're going to use your email to reply, and that defeats the purpose. So we have Secure Reply, which lets you reply, send an email, do as many attachments as you want. That's another great thing. You can attach huge attachment, and it'll go through. And all of that without you, Anna, having to buy Secure. So the sender needs Secure, the recipient doesn't. You use that in banking, medical, legal, government, corporate. I mean, somebody may have a purchase order for some, 5,000 tons of wheat someplace. And, they say, we're going to wire you the $500,000 to this account. These are the kind of emails that fly all over the net. And with Secure Send, Secure Reply, you eliminate completely the risk of being phished. And as a policy, we tell to businesses, if you don't want to have email phishing, just use Secure Send, Secure Reply. Maybe a little bit more of an extra step.
Thank you so much for joining us again on New to the Street, the Secure segment.
You're welcome, Anna. Happy to be here.
Closed captioning brought to you by MagnaLife Pain Relieving Foot Cream to target neuropathy symptoms.
Suffering from burning, tingling, or stabbing pain in your feet? Get relief with MagnaLife Pain Relieving Foot Cream and get living.
Also available as a 360-degree spray.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.
We need some help.
I know. I'm going to CashNetUSA.com. And if approved, we can have the money in our account as soon as the same business day.
Go to CashNetUSA.com to apply for the money you need.
Recovery makes you stronger. It's my weapon. With 36 years old and I still compete with the best players and I still maintain this shape. To be the best, you need the best. That's why I choose Theragun.
In the last year, there was a victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Could it happen to you?
Somebody used my identification and they had actually purchased the car and drove it off the lot. I didn't know what to do, but thankfully I had LifeLock.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats, and if there's a problem, we work to fix it.
LifeLock provides
that strife, that Marine, that tough Marine, that's a little